Okay guys, I mentioned in the video I was doing about planning for next season, the overview video that you would have just seen. I mentioned towards the end of the video that I had found something new, learned something new about my forehand technique, which although I knew in theory, I found I hadn't been doing in practice. And I just want to show you what it is now and basically get you to try it for yourself and see what will happen. I've got some video of me doing some training just earlier, just before talking to you here, and you'll see the difference in my technique and the difference in the ball trajectory compared to the video of, say, me playing Colin in the state final. I suggest you have a look at this video, go back and have a quick look at me versus Colin, and notice how my forehand arcing and topspin is a bit different. And you'll see the differences in my preparation and stuff. Now, what I noticed was, I still, even though I changed to the quicker blade, the quicker rubber, and was working to improve my power with the wider legs, and not dipping the shoulder, staying square with the shoulders, I still wasn't very happy with the amount of power I was generating. And I thought about it while I was hitting with Colin last week. I thought about it a bit and thought, well, what's going wrong? And I looked at the pieces of a forehand and thought, okay, let's break it back to basics. So after I finished with Colin and I was having a hit with my partner Nita, we were doing some forehand warm-ups. And normally with a forehand warm-up I stand here and I hit. And I let my forearm do the work. Bang, bang, bang. And this time I thought, well, let's take it back to very first principles. Let's let the waist and shoulders do the work. Like I always tell my students, and in theory, I know that you'll see in the videos that I've done for you and talked about before, I always make a big deal about the idea is to have this foot back so that you can turn, put weight on this foot and turn the waist and shoulders back. And I thought, well, let's get back to first principles. So instead of that, I actually said, right, I'm not going to move my arm at all. I'm going to leave that still, and all I'm going to do is waist, turn, and hit the ball like that. And as you can see here, in terms of my forearm and arm, I'm not moving that at all. It's all coming from the waist and shoulders. And I did that for a couple of minutes, and I thought, well, I'm getting good power from that without any arm. You know, that's generating very good power in my counter hit. I thought, well, what would happen if I add that into my loop? So I got her to block a couple, and what I worked on is instead of coming back here and starting with my arm, I actually tried to start with the legs and the waist and get there and actually start here from this part of my body and turn from there, then the shoulders, and leave the arm till last. And not really do a lot with the arm, just let it come along. So it's the difference between my normal loop, which was there, arm comes through, and the waist and shoulders kind of follow afterwards. So I was not generating anything from the waist and shoulders. I was really, although they were turning, the arm was doing the movement, the arm and the shoulder here was bringing me back, and this was just going along, my legs and my waist were going along for the ride. So as soon as I did that, the first thing that happened is I shot off the end of the table by about 2 feet. You know, the ball just suddenly went, instead of up and down, the ball went forward like a rocket, and 2 feet off the end of the table. And I went, ooh, that was good power. And all the difference was again, just me going there into the same position, but generating, starting from legs and waist. So really trying to pull from this waist, almost like a golfer when they start with the hips. There, bring the hips through, and I really concentrated on that. And every time I forgot it a little bit, I tried to get back to just there without moving the arm. And I found a couple of things. First thing I found was, okay, power, much more power in the ball. Second thing I found was the trajectory of my ball my forehand loop went from this to that bullet loop that I've been looking for that I've never really had. I suddenly had that. And what was happening was also in terms of my balance, whereas before I would quite often kind of feel that I would be not balanced on the second ball, what's happening, my balance was better. I could actually do this from the waist and recover because I'm not making a wild swing with my arm. It's all coming from my core body. So that helped. The final thing I noticed was also, in the past, I've had this tendency that if I stand sideways, and again this is the end of the table here, I've always had the tendency to take the ball late. And by taking the ball late, I've had to lift the ball a lot. By doing this and coming with the waist, instead of hitting the ball kind of here, in relative to my body, I started contacting the ball there, instead of here. And I'm generating power. And I'm getting, instead of my swing being this, there. And that natural power swing is coming. And all it was really just, again, like I said, it's just the difference between arm loop with the body turning back, but the arm leading the way with the power, versus waist loop. Waist, legs and waist, legs and waist, legs and waist. The other thing I find is now, when the ball comes into my hip here, in the past I would do this, and I could never generate any power. It would always be that sort of loop. Now it's there, and I can generate, because this motion can generate good power, they can come to my hip, and if I'm a bit out of position, all I have to do is go from there, and I can generate a good loop, and you'll see that. So, now you may be doing that already. Or you may be thinking here, hey, I know this is basics, this is table tennis 101. The thing is, I know this, I knew this 20 years ago, that the theory is how you turn so that your waist and shoulders can start the stroke. I knew that, I was telling my students that, but I've never done it. And what I thought I was doing, because if you watch me in the video, the shoulders and waist turn, and they come back. So it looks like I'm turning waist and shoulders, and I am turning them, but I'm not generating power from them. I was never generating any power from this. It was all coming from the arm motion, and these were just coming along back for the ride, turning as my arm dragged them along. Now what's happening is that I'm getting into position, they're starting the stroke, and they're dragging my arm along, which means that my arm's doing less work, my core muscles are doing more of the work. It means I'm more consistent, the bigger muscles are taking more of the workload, my arm has to do less, and what's happened is my loop, which is always a very archy, has suddenly become powerful, and I'm much better balanced for the second one. In conjunction with that, at the same time, I'm also finding that instead of being here on the table, I'm better off being this far away from the table, from there to there, so that I can hit the ball there, there. Whereas in the past I was always close, because I was hitting the ball here, here, and sort of here. Now I'm hitting the ball there, and there. And, well, you'll see in the videos that are following, in terms of the actual stroke that I'm hitting, you'll see the difference in the result. And I've been doing that for now 3 sessions, and it's incredible the amount of power I'm generating with less effort, good balance and recovery, and I've never hit like that. I've never hit that sort of power in 20 years. And it's all because this one core area, this waist and legs, which are, I guess, basically the centre of your spring, at the beginning of that spring, I've always turned them, but I've never generated power. They've always gone along for the ride, and that's what's really given me some zip on that forehand and made an incredible difference to the way I'm hitting it, without really having to feel like I'm changing my spin. I'm still spinning and dipping the ball, but the ball's going a rocket forwards and then dipping down. So I haven't had to make any radical changes. So try it. Get out there, hit the ball and try keeping your arms still and generating from the waist. And then once you've done that for a couple of minutes, then try and do that and hit one, loop one, but starting from the waist. See what result you get. And you may be, if you haven't been doing it like I haven't been doing it, you may find yourself pleasantly surprised. So yeah, like I said, 20 years, you learn something or you apply something that you should have known, didn't realise you weren't doing. So if I find any other little tidbits, I'll be sure to pass them on. But I'm quite excited about this one, and it seems to be working very, very well for me, and I'm hopeful that I'm going to be able to have 4 or 5 months to really get that into my game. But I'll definitely keep them informed on that one, but give it a go. You may find if you can really generate from there, you may see the results yourself, and I saw it instantly. So you shouldn't take more than a minute or two to see the difference and see whether you really are turning from the waist and the legs, or whether you're doing the arm and these are just passengers. And you'll find out very soon.
Watch the ball. Oh, why am I not getting?
I just never. So,
Watch the ball. Oh, a cracker.